Port Harcourt, the capital of Rivers State, and its environs have for the past few years been progressively assailed by what has come to be known as the black soot, a black particulate matter made up of carbon resulting from the incomplete combustion of fossil fuels. After an initial period of public confusion, the origin of this phenomenon was narrowed down to fumes and effluents emitting from the hundreds, possibly thousands, of illegal refineries dotting the Rivers State landscape, particularly in the River Rhine and coastal areas of the state. And to help us to try and get a better understanding of this ecological disaster and focus more on the menace of illegal refineries and the environmental issues arising from their operations, we're now being joined from Port Harcourt by Livingston Wetchie, a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the program. Let me get right into it by asking for your thoughts and opinions regarding this menace. About 112 illegal refineries we know are reported basically to have been discovered in the state. So what are your thoughts about this, and also the black soot as well, the environmental phenomenon? What's your take, and how the River State government, how they're handling the matter?
Well, thank you. The public outcry against the black soot, which is codenamed black soot, scientifically called particulate matters, has been ongoing for years. We were on the streets protesting because of the hazards it had caused in our state. Thank God for the resultant wake-up call. The governor and his administration has come to the rescue, even though many have laced the intervention with political undertones. But if that's what it will take to bring about this intervention, let the political undertone continue, provided the lives of Rivers people preserved, as it were. So the idea is the impact cannot be overestimated. I have a loved one who was recently discharged from the hospital for respiratory crisis, had a chronic throat infection that impacted on the lungs, impacted on his heart, and impacted on his intestine. And it was already resulting in organ damage, but for the early detection and diagnosis by the doctors who came to his rescue. And you have a series of such cases in our hospitals. Now, the effect of this black soot is so much that we require an extraordinary political will to arrest. The reason being that there are also politicians who are sponsoring these artisanal refineries. There are also military officials who are involved. If you watch some of the videos of the activities of the government officials in destroying the site, you will also see cases of resistance by men of the armed forces who tried to frustrate the government's efforts in halting this menace. Now, there should be a proper decommissioning of these sites. The government has done its own part, but it should go beyond somebody called it a commando style. We understand that type of action, but you see, there has to be a proper decommissioning of these sites, and that will require the engagement of professional environmental players to ensure that this mode of destruction does not now result in another phase of crisis. Mind you, there is black soot. There is already a growing pandemic as a result of the years of impact. And what that means is if there is no proper cleanup, proper decontamination, we may begin to experience some sort of pandemic and other health crisis because of the environmental health crisis that we are already grappling with. Now, there is the aspect of the concern as to what you do with the practitioners of these artisanal refineries. Some have requested that or advocated that they should be engaged. There should be an interface between government and some of those who are involved in this to ensure that they translate their expertise into a legal mode of doing business. There is a technologically acceptable way of going about a refinery business. You have called it illegal refineries, fire. There's different code names around it. I believe that, yes, people have made fortunes out of these illegal activities at the extreme detriment of the health and environmental health of our people. But going forward, knowing that the illegality of these activities have, as it were, grossly and gravely impacted on the revenue generation of the state and of the federation, that is to say economic sabotage, we should now engage them so we don't end up throwing away the baby and the bathwater. We should find a way to, because if these boys and these people could involve themselves in these activities and reducing the cost of PMS, AGOs and so on, it means there is a possibility for these products to be cheaper than they are in the market, because multinational companies and several organizations patronize their products. They buy from them, and that has led to most of the filling stations, gas stations, getting products from them and selling to the public and damaging people's vehicles and generators and so on. So if there is a program in place, I believe that that program should be properly put in perspective in a manner that engages these boys and ensure that their expertise, their talents and skills are translated. I understand the vice president was heading a team that seeks to establish some refineries across the Niger Delta states. I think this is one opportunity, because if you don't seize the moment now and just destroy these sites and then leave these boys idle, many of them will resort to an alternative criminal lifestyle, and the menace of kidnapping, rape, armed robbery and so on that has been relatively arrested in Rivers State may start resurging again. There may be an upsurge of these vices again in our state. Now, I also want to use this opportunity to urge Mr. Governor of Rivers State to also consider the criminal hideouts that are camped in various parts of the state. He should boldly engage security agencies, whether compromised or not. If Christ be preached, whether out of malice, let it be that Christ is preached, and let's assume that this is gospel. Take the gospel and the message to some criminal hideouts and dislodge these camps, because there are a series of such hideouts in the state. Maybe you call them hideouts or they function as hideouts because the governor has equally risen to the occasion to fight crime, haven't strongly supported the security agencies. So this same spirit that they are using now to fight fire, to fight illegal refinery, should be extended into fighting and dislodging criminal camps in the state, so that you don't justify the perception of those who are saying, they are doing this because 2023 is around the corner.
All right, Livingston.
Let us have
Livingston,
a safe and secure River State.
Very good. If I may touch on exactly what you just said, talking about the security and the issues of fortunes as well.
Yes.
Now, Governor Wike said in early January this year that security agencies were abetting and, of course, protecting illegal refineries in Rivers State. Now, if we go back in 2018, he said the Soot in Port Harcourt, especially, was caused by the destruction of illegal refineries by security agencies. So, what do we make of this contradiction and, of course, the efforts towards getting rid of illegal bunkering and, of course, refiners in Rivers State?
See, let me tell you this. There is a strong complicity by state actors, including state-owned institutions, like the Port Harcourt refinery, the Indorama Petrochemical here in Rivers State, is a very frontline aider and abetter of environmental hazards, including the multinationals. So that you don't reduce it to only these fire sites. There are multinational government organizations and private organizations that practice very, very substandard and below the belt standard approach in terms of managing hazards. Now, it is related also to the gas flaring incident across the Niger Delta states. And I believe that if government should should show a measure of honesty and enforce its laws. Because the challenge here has to do with poor enforcement of law occasioned by gross compromise by law enforcement agents. First men literally lobby to be posted to River State so they can be involved in these very quick money-making activities, such as illegal refining programs. If you go to some of these rural areas, the communities, if you go to our highways when these trucks are passing, they have their, first men, like you call them illegal oil and gas product forces from the Nigerian police and the Nigerian army, collecting their shares from the proceeds of these activities. So even the state agents themselves are helping to frustrate the arrest of the, and I thankful for the governor who was recently, I think some days ago, visited by the Chief of Defense Staff, where he threw it to the Chief of Defense Staff, Irabo, and called for cooperation, maximum cooperation, because you cannot successfully, River State government or any other state, it's just merely an appendage of the federal government style that we run in Nigeria. They don't have their own force. River State does not have its own forcemen. So they need maximum cooperation by the security agencies. And this support and synergy must come with a genuine commitment, not only to bring to an end the black suit or its origin, that is the fire sites, but towards ensuring that there is a translation of the economic dimension, because there is a negative and positive benefits alike from the activities of illegal refinery. Negative benefits to the extent that those who are funding and sponsoring this line of illegal businesses are benefiting in very large sums, in running into billions of naira. There are many people whose livelihood cannot be traced to any particular investment, but for these illegal activities, like the illegal fire, you call it artisanal refineries. So my answer to that question again will be that there should be a program of government in place in ensuring that the talents and skills and experiences of these people who are involved are properly engaged, and those who are not willing to commit to the program of economic translation to a legitimate form of business should be arrested and prosecuted.
Okay,
they should be brought to justice.
All right, then.
But there is a difficulty. The difficulty there. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so I hear you, but I wanted you to shed more light on some of the things that you mentioned earlier on. You talked about the political undertone, and you also talked about the elections coming up, 2023. Perhaps you can shed more light regarding what the political undertone, what that really is all about.
If you feel the pulse of the people within various corners on the street, some of them will tell you, Wike is doing this because 2023 is around the corner. He wants to ensure that boys are not empowered. He is going after his political foes and so on. But I think these alibis are so weak and frail because they are not considering the impact of the end of Soot in River State on the environmental and people's health. There is environmental, there is community health crisis and people's health crisis ongoing in River State. So I think that argument of political undertone is a mere blackmail to a genuine commitment to end this suit. I'm not here singing the praises of Wike. It's not about him, it's about the masses. Because even he himself, whether you're a member of the APC or PDP or any other party, we are all here because the rain and the sun are falling on the just and the unjust. And if there is a health crisis, it will impact on everybody. So this myopia of driving the narrative of political undertone, I think should be disregarded and be taken for granted, because that is not as serious as addressing the issue of the long-term positive effect of this in businesses. I saw the video of the person who sells oranges around Rumukuta saying that the oranges are now up. I've touched surfaces today. I'm not saying the black suit has totally stopped, because there are fragments of that in the atmosphere. But again, to say that there is an improvement of air quality in River State, anybody who says so will be admitting to fact, because there is indeed improvement. But what we may not ascertain until scientifically proven is the issue of the impact and effect whether we are able to arrest the environment beyond seeing beyond improved visibility in the states coming into Port Harcourt by air. The visibility has improved. Driving on the highways in River State, you can see improved visibility, unlike the weeks and months and years past where you're driving and it's like you're driving into outer darkness. So that, by the way, we should not bring in any form of politics here, because politics in this type of matter does no one any good. Now, on the other leg, concerning the issues of the security agents, I guess that's what you're talking about, right? The role of the security agents?
Yes, indeed.
Now, yes. The security agents, unfortunately, there is a loss of focus on the primary responsibility and duty of our security officials. To them right now, most of them, they tend to be carried away by the appetite, the unbridled appetite for quick gain and quick, generation of revenue and enrichment. And this ostentatious lifestyle has already made them partners in crime with the criminal elements in our society. And this is very, very painful. It's sad and heartbreaking. But I think it is important that those managing our security agencies should rise to the occasion now. Because unfortunately, the feelers we gather, which we have no evidence to, is that their organs at the tops are receiving their own cuts and shares. And that's why they are unwilling to properly put their feet on the ground to stop these criminal activities that result in grave damage both to our environment, our business life. So if they feel accused, if they feel wrongly accused, they should prove to Nigerians to the contrary, that their hands, because I did mention earlier that there are security operatives who are lobbying seriously to be posted to River State. You have a lot of security men who are living very luxurious and lavish lifestyles, whose salaries cannot be equated with the type of lifestyle that they are living. And this is very disturbing, because they appear to have left their assignment and allowing crime to groundswell and be involved in those factors that enhance criminal activities in the state.
All right,
Livingston,
if I may come in again, please.
Indictment of the security agencies, but particular agents which are known to this, because I say this from the perspective.
All right, Livingston, let's just touch on let's touch on this issue here. Way back in 2017, and of course this goes beyond the state government. The Nigerian Senate also directed its Committee on Environment, Petroleum and Downstream to investigate air pollution in Port Harcourt. But the findings of that committee's report were still a bit sketchy and wasn't made to public. So where does enforcement of laws and sanctions come in? I know you've touched on this earlier, but why is it taking so long? The political will seems to be an issue as well, beyond the security consideration, as you've alluded to earlier.
Let me tell you this, it's just sheer compromise. And I want to say that our enabling laws that require for enforcement, our oil and gas laws, are so lame and lazy that it even encourages. Take, for instance, sections of the Petroleum Act that touch on gas flaring, provides for a very, ridiculous amount for an oil multinational to pay to allow it flare gas freely without being criminalized. So the legal framework required to fight this type of menace is so lame. And until not only do we put a proper, improved, and technologically compliant legal framework in place in fighting this hazard, the worse we have for it. Because the coming days hold so much danger that we may overwhelm our health system because of the impact of this suit. Now, it's not enough directing the House Committee or Senate Committee, as the case may be, to take actions to look at the environmental situation in River State. You have to also consider the need to embark on a quick action
all
for
right.
environmental remediation,
Okay.
for environmental
All right, then,
cleanup of the entire River State.
Okay, Livingston, I totally hear you. Just very quickly, just to clarify, as a resident of Port Harcourt, there's speculation basically that the cause of the Soot, I just wanted your own thoughts regarding the cause of the Soot. Some are saying that it's not just the illegal refineries, that there's about 100 abattoirs that are burning tires to process meat as one of the causes of the Soot. Do you, as a resident there, do you agree? Was that something you witnessed? Do you think that's really one of the causative agents of that black Soot, or should that be disregarded? Very briefly, please.
So if you want to categorize the various elements that cause black Soot, the issue of the abattoirs will be at the lower level, at the lower rung of the ladder. So that would mean that the major culprits are the illegal refineries, or you call them artisanal refineries, the fire people, including the multinational international oil companies. I did mention Indorama, which our organization is putting arrangements in place to engage these multinationals, because they are frontline culprits. They are all participes criminis. And an important point there to note is that until you to take them to account and hold them responsible, it will be unfortunate to say the abattoirs, because yes, the abattoirs are also making their own impact in terms of the smoke that's come from this burning of tires, but that is nothing to compare to the industrial quantum of toxic discharge by the multinational oil companies, call them Ajib, Shell, Elf, Mobil, Total, and all of them, and the petrochemical company here in LMA. They are very high volume contributors, including some of these sites owned by particular politicians who have become untouchable.
All right, then, Livingston, we're going to have to leave it there, but many thanks for coming on the program. Livingston Weche, who is a public affairs analyst, many thanks for coming on the program.